Hello, class. Welcome back. Hopefully you're staying healthy. Hopefully your family's healthy and you're taking care of yourselves. I'm going to jump right in. We are on part 1 of week number 2 now. If you didn't notice on the website that I posted to you guys, I did post different videos and different activities throughout the week. So if you want to go back and kind of look, I posted a video Monday morning. It would have been late Sunday night, but I posted it Monday morning for you guys. Tuesday, I submitted another kind of website you could went and checked at and some different videos. And then on Thursday last week, I submitted the answers, or I pumped out a video with the answers for the Google form that I had. We're going to do the same kind of format this week where, this video will be, giving you some review notes that you maybe have forgotten over time. Again, these are just opportunities. It's not obligated. It's just one of those things that maybe you want to take an opportunity to refresh your memory on some of this stuff that we previously learned. At the very end of this video, I'll submit another Google form that you can try and go type in your answers. I know it's kind of tough to type in, your calc answers into this, but just do your best you can. I can kind of sift through the material and see how you did. Again, it's not great. It's not mandatory. It's just one of those things. I want to give you an opportunity. You can kind of refresh your memory. Today's topic is based on derivatives again. We're going to kind of stick with that bandwagon. And then we're going to be doing the trig functions, so sine, cosine, and tangent. Now, I know on one of the activities I did on Tuesday last week, I did have some trig functions in there because I kind of knew that we're going to get to them this week. Now, the rules are still the same. We're still following the power rule, the exponential rule, the sum and difference formulas, and then the product and quotient rules. So you're going to kind of see some of those in these problems. But again, our goal is to kind of review how to do the derivatives for trig functions. So I got about 5 problems picked out here, and then the Google form has about 5 problems on it as well. And then you can submit your answers on there. I don't have the solutions won't pop up when you actually enter yours in on the Google form because there's tons of different ways you can enter it. But again, I'll give you the answers in the end of the week, and we'll go through another video. But again, let's just jump right in. So, first one here, sorry, it's a little bit blurry. We have a quotient. We have 2 trig functions. So remember, when you do a quotient rule to find the derivative, you have to do the derivative of the top times the bottom minus the derivative of the bottom times the top all over the bottom squared. So, now when you do a derivative of a trig function, like let's say cosine, the derivative of cosine is negative sine of whatever it's in the parenthesis times the item inside the parenthesis, like the derivative of the inside of that. So you're going to see that as I go through here, and hopefully this will make sense to you. So, derivative of the top. Well, derivative of cosine is negative sine of 2x plus 1. That's the derivative of cosine. Then we have to take it times the derivative of the inside. Well, the derivative of 2x plus 1 is just 2. That is the entire derivative of the top. Now, we have to take that times the bottom. And now we have to subtract the derivative of the bottom. The derivative of sine is cosine of whatever is in the parenthesis times the derivative of what's in the parenthesis, which would be 12x squared. That's the derivative of the 4x cubed. Times the derivative, or times just the top, which in my case was the cosine blah, 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 blah. Okay, and that is all over sine squared of 4x cubed. That is the whole bottom squared. Now, there's a couple different ways you can write that. If you didn't like that, you could have wrote that as sine the 4x cubed, and this is all squared. That's totally fine. But this is the derivative. Now, obviously, apologies, I ran out of space here, but the cosine that I have in the end, it's just this 2x plus 1. That's on the back of that. That's the derivative. That's the entire derivative. Now, if you want to simplify that, you can. I'm not going to require that you do that. But that's the derivative. Again, it's just kind of refreshing your memory of derivative of quotient rules and sines and cosines. Let's jump right into number 2. I'll switch up the color here. Let's go blue here. All right, so we're going to do the quotient, or not quotient rule, but a chain rule on this one. Now, I'm gonna rewrite this problem just a little bit differently so you can see this. All right, so here's what we have. Okay, so this is a chain rule. I put the half, that's the same thing as the radical sign. So the first step when I do the chain rule, you have to take the derivative of the outside, which is you drop the power out front, and then you take it and you subtract 1 off the power. Okay, so that's the first step. You drop the power out front, you subtract 1 off the power. Now we have to take that times the derivative of the inside. Well, the derivative of the inside happens to be sine to the 5th x. So you have to do a chain rule on that. You have to drop the 5 out front and subtract 1 off the power. So that would be 4x. So that's the power rule of the inside. But then you also have to take that times the derivative of sine, which would be cosine. That's the derivative of sine. Notice I ignored the 4 because we did the rule for 4. This is the derivative of the inside of that. And then we have to take the times the derivative of what's inside of that, which is a 1. Again, the reason why this worked out the way that it did is because that sine to the 5th is actually the same thing as writing this. This is the same thing. So that's why this part right here is where I dropped the power out front, subtracted 1 off the power, and then I took it times the derivative of the inside, which was the cosine of x, and times the inside of that even. So that's where this rest of this stuff comes into play. I know it gets a little messy, but hopefully that made sense, that you could drop the power out front and kind of do the normal rule that we did there. Most people forget how to take derivative of trig functions, especially when this is like a chain rule inside of a chain rule inside of a chain rule kind of a thing. All right, let's jump right into the next one, the third problem here. I'm going to switch up the color one more time. All right, so this is a product rule. I want to refresh your memory on how to do product rule. The product rule is where it's the derivative of the front times the second plus the derivative of the second. Well, the derivative of e is e, cosine of that, times whatever's the derivative of the power, so that's negative sine, times the derivative, the item on the inside of that. So that's the derivative of the second item times the first. So derivative of the first times the second plus the derivative of the second times the first. Now, I know last week we really focused on, how to take derivatives of exponential problems. This, derivative of e, I really shortened this up. This should have been the natural log of e times e to the cosine of x. But that's the stuff we did last week, and hopefully that makes sense to you. But again, it is a chain rule when we get down to it on that one. All right, let's jump into the next one. Now, this is a product rule again, but I picked kind of a more difficult-looking one. Let's switch up the color here. All right, so on a product rule, derivative of the front, so that would be a negative sine 3x squared times the derivative of the inside of the parenthesis, which is 6x. So that's the derivative of the front times the second plus the derivative of the second. Well, the derivative of the second item is this. The derivative of the sine is cosine of 5x minus 1 times whatever's in the power, or in the parenthesis, I should say, times the front, which is cosine of 3x squared. And again, you're not going to combine those, and we can rearrange stuff, but you're not going to combine anything. But there's your derivative. That's the whole thing right there. Kind of doing piece by piece. Again, that's a product rule. And again, you can simplify it if you need to, but we're not going to combine any like terms. All right, and the last one. This is a chain rule again. I kind of went back and forth here. So last one here. So I'm going to rewrite this problem a little bit differently. So I'm going to put this all to the half power. Okay, so just like we did before, we're going to drop the half out front and subtract 1 off of it. So subtract 1 off the power times the derivative of the inside. Well, the derivative of cosine is negative sine of 4x. Then we have to take the times the derivative of the inside of that, which the derivative of 4x is 4. So there you go. That is the chain rule inside of a chain rule. Okay, that should be the last problem here. I'm going to submit a Google form to you where you can kind of practice some of these. I have about 5 problems on there. In the middle of the week, maybe in Tuesday or Wednesday-ish, I'll submit another video or a web link that you can go to where you can practice some more derivatives for trig functions. That'll be my focus this week. And then on Thursday or hopefully Friday, I will submit another video out where I'll call it part 3 of this week too, where it'll go through the answers for your Google form. And I've kind of checked through them. Again, they're not obligated. It's not graded or anything. It's just one of those things I want to give you an opportunity to try out some more problems to continue your education in a different format. Hopefully you're staying healthy. Hopefully your family is healthy. And I'll hopefully see you later.